No one in the long audition line at America's Got Talent noticed the thin boy sitting quietly in the corner, hugging a faded guitar that looked older than he was. His name was Mateo Cruz, a 14-year-old kid from a forgotten fishing village in the Philippines, and he had flown halfway across the world with nothing but a backpack, a dream, and a ticket bought by people who barely had enough to feed themselves. Yet here he was, staring at the towering stage that millions wished they could stand on, unsure if he even deserved to be there. Mateo had grown up listening to music through the thin walls of a neighbor's house, the only home in the village with a working radio. When the fishermen came back from the sea at sunset, someone always played classic rock, especially Hotel California. The song became the soundtrack of Mateo's childhood. He used to sit on the sand with his little sister, Maya, tracing broken shells while he whispered the lyrics like a bedtime story. Their mother would smile from the doorway, pretending she wasn't crying from the weight of the world on her shoulders. But everything changed when Maya got sick. The kind of sick that required medicine their family could never afford. Their mother worked double shifts selling dried fish, their father borrowed money he didn't have, and Mateo played on street corners, hoping strangers would drop a few coins in the old sardine can in front of him. Most days, they didn't. Yet every night, when Maya asked him to sing the guitar song, he did, because it was the only thing that seemed to quiet the fear in her eyes. When her condition worsened, the doctor said something that shattered their entire world: she needs surgery soon. It was impossible. But then a miracle happened. A tourist couple visiting the town stopped to listen to Mateo performing by the pier. They were captivated, not just by his voice, but by the raw emotion inside it. When they learned about Maya, they didn't hesitate. They started a fundraiser online and insisted that Mateo audition for America's Got Talent. "Your voice can save her," the woman said, tears shining in her eyes. So Mateo found himself in Los Angeles, wearing a shirt donated by the village priest and shoes 2 sizes too big, given to him by a fisherman who said, "If you're going to stand on a big stage, hijo, you need big shoes." Hours passed. Contestants rehearsed loudly. Some bragged about their social media following. Mateo kept his head down. His hands shook as he tuned his battered guitar, the same guitar his father had built from leftover boat wood. Someone laughed at it. Someone else asked if he was lost. A producer gently touched his shoulder and said, "Sweetheart, you'll do great." No one understood how much he needed to hear that. When his name was finally called, he stepped onto the massive stage, blinking under the blinding lights. The audience murmured. He looked small, too small. Simon Cowell leaned forward, studying him with that unreadable expression Mateo had seen 1,000 times on YouTube. For a moment, the boy froze. He couldn't breathe. He thought of Maya. He thought of the little island waiting for him. Then he tightened his grip on his guitar and forced himself to speak. "My name is Mateo Cruz, and I'm here to sing for my sister." The crowd went silent. Simon raised an eyebrow. "How old is your sister?" "She's 9, Mateo whispered. She's very sick. I want to help her get better." His voice cracked. A few audience members wiped their eyes. Even Simon's expression softened. "What are you singing?" Simon asked gently. Mateo took a long breath. "Hotel California." Surprise flickered across the judges' faces. A boy like him, choosing a song so iconic, so risky? But Mateo wasn't thinking about impressing anyone. He was thinking about holding Maya's hand in that hospital bed, promising her he would never stop singing for her. The intro began, soft, uncertain, but honest. Then Mateo opened his mouth, and something extraordinary happened. His voice flowed out smooth and haunting, far richer than anyone expected from someone his age. He didn't sing the song like a performer mimicking the Eagles. He sang it like a story carved into his bones, every note filled with the ache of nights spent worrying, every lyric carrying the weight of a family fighting to hold on to hope. The room fell utterly still. Simon's jaw tightened. Heidi's hand went to her chest. Even the backstage crew stopped what they were doing and leaned toward the monitor. Midway through the chorus, Mateo's voice cracked, not from nerves, but from emotion, and the entire arena seemed to hold its breath. Then, instead of collapsing, he leaned into the vulnerability, letting the break become part of the performance. It wasn't perfect technically, but it was real. Heartbreakingly real. When he reached the iconic guitar break, he didn't try to imitate the original. He played it the way his father taught him, simple, raw, and full of longing. People in the audience started crying. Some stood. The song didn't feel like a performance, it felt like a plea to the universe to give a little girl another chance at life. By the final note, the arena erupted. A full standing ovation thundered through the room. Even the judges stood. Simon rarely stood. Mateo stared in disbelief, eyes wide, tears streaming down his face. He wasn't expecting applause. He wasn't expecting anything. When the noise finally softened, Simon leaned toward his microphone. His voice, for once, wasn't sharp or sarcastic, it was gentle. That, he said slowly, was one of the most moving performances I've ever heard on this stage. Mateo covered his mouth in shock. You didn't come here to be a star, Simon continued. You came here out of love. And that love, we all felt it. The audience cheered again. Then something happened that no one expected. Simon turned to the producers offstage and motioned for them to come closer. The cameras caught the exchange, but no one knew what he was saying at first. When he faced Mateo again, his expression was warm, almost fatherly. We're not just giving you a yes, Mateo, Simon said. We're going to help your sister. The audience gasped. Mateo's knees buckled. Tears poured down his face as people rushed forward to steady him. Simon explained that the show, along with several partners watching, would cover all medical expenses for Maya's surgery and treatment. The promise hung in the air like a miracle. Mateo sobbed openly, shaking his head as if he couldn't believe it was real. My mom will cry so much, he whispered through tears, and the entire arena flooded with emotion. Simon stepped down from the judges' table and walked onto the stage, something he rarely did. He put a hand on Mateo's shoulder and said, Your voice brought thousands of people to their feet tonight. But more importantly, it brought hope to your family. You did that. For the first time in his life, Mateo felt the impossible become possible. After the show, news outlets around the world shared his audition. Donations poured in. Support messages came from every corner of the globe. Strangers said they were praying for Maya. Former AGT contestants offered to mentor him. A guitar company sent him a brand new instrument, though Mateo insisted on keeping his father's homemade one close to him always. Weeks later, his mother called from the Philippines in tears, happy tears. Maya had undergone her surgery successfully. She had asked if her big brother could sing the guitar song when she woke up. Doctors placed a phone by her bed, and Mateo sang quietly through the speaker, his voice trembling with relief. On the AGT stage, during the next live show, Simon shared an update, and the crowd erupted once more. The boy who once sang on dusty streets was now standing under the brightest lights in the world, not because he chased fame, but because love pushed him forward. In the end, Mateo's story wasn't about poverty or luck. It was about the unstoppable power of compassion, the way a community, a couple of strangers, and even a famously tough judge came together not for ratings, but for a little girl who deserved a chance to grow up. Mateo walked onto that stage hoping to save one life. Instead, he reminded millions of people that kindness still exists, miracles still happen, and sometimes, the smallest voices carry the greatest strength. And as he often told his sister afterward, it wasn't the song that changed our lives, it was the people who listened.